So I just finished watching episode one of Netflix's new drama series, Adolescence, and yeah, I needed a minute to process things, but I'm gonna talk to you guys about it. I'm not sure how big it is in the States, in the United States, but over here it's quite a big deal and everybody's talking about it and it's very relevant and there are valid reasons for that. It's created by Stephen Graham, who's been in Snatch, which I know a lot of Americans know about anyway. Oh, This Is England is the other one that I was thinking of, and he was also in Pirates of the Caribbean as like a supporting role. But quite a well known person. He's created it. He stars in it, and it's exploded over here, so to speak. I think it may have exploded over in the States because I've seen a few people online saying about an American version, basically the same story but changed so like it's for an American audience, an American school, an American cast, that sort of thing. But I don't know how high the level has got in America, but over here in the UK, it's huge at the minute. It's huge. Stephen Graham's a great actor. He's known as being like a typical like British sort of character. He's very raw, very real, does a lot of stuff. Like I say, if you've seen Snatch, I know a lot of people in America have. And obviously, I'm talking to the British audience as well here, but, I'm just trying to give some context for those of you who might not have been aware of the hype so far. He's quite a big deal over here anyway. Just to sum up the show very briefly, I'm only on episode one, as the title states. But just to sum it up very quickly, the show is about misogyny, and it's about misogyny on a cultural and social level, and how it's ingrained in social media and how it's ingrained in day-to-day life, and how people display misogynistic traits without even being aware of it, because it's been that ingrained in them from a young age. It's also about child murder, to be blunt, and child murder committed by as the title suggests, another child or an adolescent. It's heavy and it goes deep right from the get-go, really. It doesn't hold anything back. Just to sum up the first episode for you, basically a 13-year-old boy named Jake has been accused of the murder of a girl of a similar age at his school. It may be that I just missed it, but I do doubt it, because the show was tense. I was engrossed. It was incredible, but I don't think we actually know the victim's age just yet. It is specified at one point that she's in a different age group, but that they share classes. But I could have missed it, but I'm not sure we actually know her age in episode one, her age. He is accused of murdering her, and I'm basically just going to talk about episode one for a little bit. I'm not really sure how it's going to go. If you watched my last video, the update video, you'll know that I said about making videos that I want to make, and I think I'm kind of going to do like an episode by episode review of the series, and then potentially bring it all together and do like a review of the whole series at the end after I've watched it all. But for now, we're just going to go off episode one, and I just want to get some raw feelings out and talk about what I've just seen, because I'm shook. I'm flabbergasted. It's hit me. It was a lot. It was a lot to watch. First and foremost, I just want to go out on a limb and say like that this show is very obviously, it's about violence towards women, specifically young women, and the violence is committed specifically by young men. And I'd like to go out on a limb again and say, number one, I'm not really young anymore. Certainly not the demographic of the children in the show. And number two is that I am a male. I can be an ally. I can educate myself. I can learn. I can have experiences shared with me from women, but at the end of the day, I am not a woman. I am a man, and there's just some aspects of this that I just do not know. And I can never know because I will never experience them. I'll just never be exposed to them because of the position of privilege that I'm in but just by being a man. So I can be an ally, I can be educated, I can want to be a better man, but there's just some aspects of this that I just will not know, and that is fine to say, but it's worth just saying it now. That I'm in a position as a man, but me being of a different demographic to the people in the show doesn't mean that the show isn't educational to everyone in some way. Now, look, the show, first and foremost, it's a form of entertainment. It's a drama. It's not a public service announcement, but this is something that's been a problem in the UK for a long time now. Realistically, it's probably been a problem for a long time in America. And I mean, look, misogyny in general and sexism in general has been an issue globally in any country, with any leading religion, with anything like that. Misogyny has been an issue for generations. But specifically talking about this trend of young male offenders, and by young I mean literally children, attacking women. That is quite a shocking trend that's been up and coming. More progressive countries, which it's obviously not a progressive thing to, violence towards women, but it's something that's been creeping up more and more, and you see more news stories on it and more reporting on it, and part of that has got to be because of social media. And as I'm aware, this series touches upon that later down the line. There wasn't much of that in the first episode, but as I'm aware, it touches on that later down the line. But yeah, I'm talking specifically about this trend of violence towards young women by young men who have been exposed to the sort of shit like Andrew Tate, toxic masculinity shite, these weird podcasts where fucking guys are saying it's fine to fucking be domineering of your woman. And I mean, it's just poison. It's just poison content, and it's poisoning young men, and it's poisoning people in general. It's so toxic, but it's really hitting young men. And I won't dote on this too long for now. I feel like I'll probably get into it a little bit more as the show develops, or even just in other videos in general. So I won't get into it too much in this one, but that's kind of where it stems from in the real world. But yeah, I can't say that the experience resonates with me as a generation further apart and also a male. But it doesn't mean I can't try and educate myself and be understanding of the situation and know that these things are happening, especially for my children in the future. The first thing that I want to say, and I will just mention this off the bat, because I am a bit of a film and TV freak, is that each episode is filmed as one continuous shot. From a technical standpoint, it's fantastic. So I just had to pause the recording just to check if this was a typical case of when you see like a one-shot film or show and it's actually not one shot, but they stitch it together to make it look like one shot. From what I can find about Adolescence, it genuinely is one shot per episode, one full shot, and that's just fucking, from a technical standpoint, that is incredible. That's amazing. From a technical standpoint, it's great. It's a very interesting way to do it for a start, and I think it's that nerd in me that's into films and TV that's like, wow, incredible. We see some films try it, like 1917 I think tried it, but that was digital. And this is a full TV series, which is like touching on 5 hours or so. And I know they're doing one shot per episode, but that's an impressive feat. That's an impressive feat. It's no easy task to do that. That's not an easy thing. I think it's cool. I was watching it. I was engrossed from minute one. I was amazed by, I want to say, the scale of it. So there are parts, obviously, like this is a proper proper crime drama. This is a high crime drama. Very Harlan Coben-esque, maybe even more serious than that, not including the topic, which definitely is more of a serious topic than some of the stuff that Harlan Coben shows touch upon. But like the colouring of it is very dark and dank. It's very claustrophobic and squeezing in on you. It's a very dark. It's got a very heavy tone to it. Given the nature of the show, that works. It's to be expected and it works. But the full continuous shot thing kind of adds to that. If I'm going to be overly critical, does a continuous shot, does it drag out a bit? I've seen a few people say that it's not a unique take, it's not something new. I suppose it does a little bit. I suppose realistically it may be a little bit. There are spots where it's really getting into like the technical and jargony side of like the arrest and stuff like that. For example, there's one part where they're taking samples of his fingerprints, and because they can't cut, you have to just watch him do each finger, so 10 digits all in, and it's a lot. And there's a lot of close-ups of facial expressions and seeing how tense it is and displaying like characters' feelings. Does that add to it? Does that create a tense environment? I guess so. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I'm certainly not going to say that. And, you know, some viewers who are more interested in crime dramas and that whole procedure side of things, and maybe people in America who are looking to learn about it, they'll certainly find something in it that I didn't necessarily see. And, you know, again, it's all subjective, it's all opinion, but for me, some of it was a bit like, oh, all right, that's dragged on a little bit. The fingerprint scene showing it. I thought the bit with the car scene, there's a car scene, it was quite tense. I'm not going to dispute that, but it was just panning back and forth between a certain character just talking to the accused boy, the murderer, and he was just kind of talking to him and like letting him know some information, but he was saying, oh, we'll sort it all at the station. The kid wasn't saying much, he was just crying out the window, you couldn't even see his face. It built that tension, it did, but we'd already had that tension built, and then when it gets to the police station, that tension's still being built, and it's tension that's already been built. But does it maybe add to it? Yeah, maybe. And is it technically impressive for the one shot? It certainly is, in my opinion. From the technical standpoint, it's phenomenal. Is it necessary? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yeah, probably, because you know the show, first and foremost, as I say, it's a form of entertainment. Secondly, it's definitely educational, and thirdly, it's part of the selling point that it's a continuous shot. That's part of the show. So yeah, I would say it's necessary in my opinion anyway. But it's worth just throwing it out there about, you know, that it has its own difficulties. The writing is great. You know, so far episode 1, it's been very well written. It's got a lot to it, a lot of substance. And like I say, my only criticism being some of the scenes are a bit, it probably doesn't need to be that long, but at the same time, what are you supposed to do? That if you're attacking the show with the intention of having it as one shot from start to finish, there's going to be some give. There's give and take, and there's going to be some scenes where it is a bit longer. I appreciate that. I don't want to fucking slate it for that, if you get me. Like, it's just something I noticed and I thought worth mentioning. It's not going to lose points from me for that. I'm not going to crucify it for that. But I understand why that's the case. But is it always necessary? Sometimes it feels like it isn't. But that's where we are with it. So alongside the writing being fantastic, the plot develops at a decent speed. Again, you could argue it's a tiny bit off pace because of the limitations of the single shot, but that's being super critical. That's being over the top. I can't get behind that. I'm only mentioning that because I can just imagine that being said. But in my opinion, it's a bit of a slow burner. It's paced that way, and that does, to me, that long shot, it does add to the tension, it does add to the suspense and the thrill. It just does. It hits the spot with that. But yeah, it's written very well. It's written very, very well. A lot of time's gone into this, a lot of planning gone into this. You can tell there's a lot of passion behind it from the creators. And yeah, just overall, it's just a fantastically well put together. It touches on some very serious, very sensitive subjects, some topics that are very tender, but it does it in a way that's not exploitive. It's like I keep saying, it feels educational. Now, I need to verify this, but my partner did tell me, I do need to Google this, so please take it with a pinch of salt. My partner did say to me that the UK government are already, off the back of this show, looking at implementing misogyny courses into the curriculum at schools to better educate young men on, how not to fucking behave, and also, young women on signs to look out for, I suppose, and like how to raise alarms and such, which, springboarding that off the back of this show is incredible. That is incredible. In my opinion, that's something that is necessary, and it's insane. But yeah, fuck me, that'd be amazing if that is the case. I will try and find out. Coming off the back of this show, to have seen change like that already is great. But yeah, in my opinion, the writing so far has been incredible. The characters are well written. They've all got their specific jobs, their tasks, the way that they segue, because of the continuous shot, the way that they segue between one another is at times immense. It's awesome almost. It's a difficult to say what I said, where I said, we don't need to see that tension keep building on the continuous shots. It's a difficult thing to do, to maintain a tense atmosphere when you can't take a shot break, when you can't cut. I couldn't do it, but I'm not a filmmaker, but I couldn't do it. It's a hard thing to do. But even to segue between characters, it stays tense. The set is relatively small, so it stays tense and things can happen quickly, and it promotes that feeling of claustrophobia, and for me, that is fantastic. One thing I would say is some of the acting lets it down. You always hate to say that. The main police officer, Ashley Walters, fantastic actor. Stephen Graham, fantastic actor. Owen Cooper on his breakthrough, his debut acting role, fantastic actor. I think it's Mark Stanley, the solicitor. He's good. He didn't blow my socks off, but he's certainly good. But I would say that Faye Marseille as DS Misha Frank, I do not think she is very good for the role. I'm looking at it on screen. You hate to be too critical, but, there's some overacting maybe. You could even go as far as to say it felt nervous, and not even intentionally. So there's a scene right at the start where the main police officer asks something like, I can't remember what fucking asked. He asks like, what's a punnet? Or something like that. He barely even finishes the question. And she's like, a punnet. It's like a big bowl. It's like a big bowl. And it just felt very forced and overdone. But, I am nitpicking there. But I did feel like that needed to be said. But yeah, the mother, very convincing. The sister, we've not seen a lot of her yet, but it's going to be quite hard to form an opinion on her just yet, but we'll see how it develops as the show goes on. And just overall, it's been just a great, very well put together, very well written, very high quality production. So there are some other points that I want to touch upon. So stylistically, it's a gem. I have touched on that already in the video, but the story, the tone is very raw and gritty and tense and atmospheric. The production itself is very clean and very stylized, linking to that one shot. but the cinematography is beautiful. It's clean. It's a weird juxtaposition in a way at times, but it fits. The show is like slick in production, but it touches upon some heavy things. But the atmosphere that is created, wow. Honest to God, that's why I had to talk about it now. We just have some time. I literally had a pit in my stomach for the entire duration of that first episode. From the moment it started to the moment the credits began to roll, there was just a feeling in me where my skin was prickling, my stomach was dropping. My missus wanted to actually binge it and watch the whole thing, and I was like, no, I need a break. I need to just get it off my chest. I need to process it. It was horrific. There are some scenes in it that are way more raw and visceral than I anticipated. But yeah, it was crazy. What do I expect going forward? I'd like to see a bit more background of the investigating officers. We know that one of the lead characters played by Ashley Walters has mentioned his son, or who we assume is his son. We want to see more from the victims' POV, maybe an interaction between both sets of parents, a court hearing. There's myriad options, and it's early days. I don't want to get stuck upon that point too much because we could be there all day just talking about it. The main takeaway from episode 1 for me, the main takeaway is there is just such an excellent balance between the themes and topics of the plot and the way it's been shot and edited and filmed. And yeah, I've got to give episode 1 a solid 9 out of 10. Yeah, there's very little for me to pick apart. The only reason I'm not going to give it a 10, which seems harsh, is just because we need to see where the story is going to go next. But I expect this to be a blow your socks off job. And, you know, it's also educational. How can you slate that? How can you slate something that's drawing attention to a topic that is seemingly becoming more problematic? So yeah, just my quick thoughts on episode 1. I'll see you guys after I watch episode 2. You will probably see me getting more and more down about it because it is heavy. But yeah, I truly recommend you watch episode 1 so far. I reckon you'll just watch the whole series. I know it's going to be an absolute huge show in the zeitgeist, especially this year, but maybe even going further. This is going to be a huge show in the zeitgeist because it is part PSA. It's not a public service announcement, but it's partly that way. It's very educational and it draws a lot of necessary attention to a really taboo topic. So yeah, watch it and I'll see you for the next one.